One of the most commonly asked questions to people on the spiritual path, whether it is swamis or brahmacharis or anyone in the spiritual path in any ashrama of life, one of the most common questions is, so what's your morning routine? Or what's your routine? What sadhana do you do? That's one of the top questions. And whenever I would hear that question initially, I would wonder, but why do they care? Why do they want to know our routine? And if you give it a little thought, actually, it's not so much about wanting to know the routine about the person you're asking, but it's about wanting to know what an ideal routine could look like. What is the routine of somebody on a spiritual path? What should they do when they wake up in the morning? What should they do during the day? What should they do before they go to sleep? I may not be ready to live the ideal, but I want to know the ideal, like that. So I was thinking we could reflect a little bit on what the sadhana in the day of our life could look like. It's called Dinacharyaa. So that's the topic I'll spend a little bit of time talking on this evening. Dinacharyaa, or the routine of the day, is a very interesting topic that is not usually talked about. And so, the first thing that you think about is, well, it starts when you wake up. No, it doesn't start when you wake up. It starts even before that. We cannot do anything in this universe without having a purpose. Everything that we do requires purpose. Like a student has the capacity to stay up late and wake up early if they're studying for an exam. A person has the capacity to go to work and work really hard and long hours because they know they're going to get a promotion or a check or whatever it is that their motivation is. There'll be some purpose that motivates them to do what it is that they are doing. People who say they can't wake up early no matter what, and they're not morning people, when they have to wake up for a plane, they very well wake up. Right? So, really speaking, what it is that drives us to do anything that it is we're doing is the purpose. What does our Shastra say is the true purpose of our human life? Our purpose is to develop tattva jignyasa, a longing and a desire to know the truth. We may not know the truth, we may not have the desire, but part of our life should be to develop that desire that I should come to know who I am, what the nature of this world is, like that. Huh? And they say that if we know the truth, then everything is all right. And if we don't, well, then nothing is okay. It can look temporarily okay, but deep down when people ask you, how are you? And you're like, yeah, everything's good. Really speaking, everyone who says, yes, everything is good, they have in their mind, but, if only this was there. But they don't say that to people. They say it in their own head. There's always a but in samsara of if only there was this one thing, then everything would be okay. That void is filled when we come to know the self. That's the only way. In fact, Bhagavan had said, I'm looking for this reference and I've still not been able to find it. I can't remember where I heard it. Bhagavan has said that he has given everybody everything they could possibly want, except one thing. Means everyone will have their own one thing. He's held back one thing that will make people, at least one thing that will make people feel complete. So they always have that void and that reason to keep looking for Bhagavan. Because if you have everything, then you're not going to go and look for Bhagavan, right? So that feeling of incompleteness is actually Bhagavan's blessing for us to keep pursuing that which is the greatest thing in this universe. So that is the purpose. That is told by Shastra. You can think about it whether it is your purpose or not. In different languages, it is a pursuit for permanent happiness. Now, it is only when our purpose is clear that my purpose is to discover truth. My purpose is to discover that God is all pervasive. My purpose is to discover that my nature is permanent happiness. Whichever language you want to color it in, I'm looking for happiness, and happiness will be discovered through the scriptures, like that, right? Once the purpose is clear, the means becomes clear. And the means is living each day purposefully. If you're building a wall, like in our ashram, our little house in Guyana, we have a semicircle wall, right? Now, to build that wall, every single brick that needs to be placed there needs to be placed at the perfect angle so that the wall is perfectly semicircular. You can't say you have to place like 5 bricks a day. And Monday to Friday, you place the bricks perfectly. And then Saturday and Sunday, you're like, well, it's the weekend, so I'm just going to place them however. that wall's not going to come out the way you want. The wall doesn't know it's the weekend. The wall needs every brick placed perfectly, right? In the exact same way, the unit of our life is a day. And our life doesn't know weekend. Our life just knows days. So every single day, we're supposed to be inspired to live with inspiration. And we see this when we study Bhagavatam, when we study Ramayana. We see how the great characters of these epics lived perfect days. In fact, I know everyone will be familiar with Ramayana. The day that Kaikeyi Ma asks Dashraji for the 2 boons and he falls, well, the night that happens, the next morning before the sun rises, all the bards and the poets are outside the palace gates waiting for Dashraji to come out to go and greet the sun before the sun rises. And they know the fact that he doesn't come out makes them know that something is wrong. Because no matter what, not for a single day of his life did he miss coming out to receive the sun. King of this great empire did not miss a single day of waking up early to go and receive Surya Bhagavan. That's the kind of discipline that not only the characters in our itihasas had, but if you look at the life of your grandparents, I'm sure you will see the same thing echoing. Grandparents, great-grandparents, the discipline with which they lived every single day was something really, really remarkable. So this is the purpose. Each day we should live purposefully. And when we live that purposefully, then our life becomes purposeful. So now what are we supposed to do? Well, we are supposed to wake up. I'm telling the ideal. And then you can see where your life fits in and all of that for that. We're supposed to wake up at Brahma Muhurat time, at the sattvic time of day. Why? Remember, because our purpose is to discover the truth. And so the mind needs to be in a certain frame of mind. And so we're supposed to wake up. Well, they say by 5. So something between 4 and 5 is the ideal time to wake up. Some will say 3:30, depending on which part of the world you live in, but something between 4 and 5. If you can't wake up between 4 and 5, well, then between 5 and 6. But our Mahatmas explain we shouldn't wake up after 6. 6 should be our, oh my God, I can't believe I slept after 6 kind of sentiment. That kind of sentiment should start to come in our heart. I know we didn't grow up with that. I don't know about you all, but I definitely didn't grow up with that. The later I would wake up, I'd be like, yes, today was a good day. We didn't wake up with the sentiment of waking up early is a glorious thing. It was like a chore and oh God, I can't wait for the weekend. But someone who was living a purposeful life strives to wake up before 6. That means you have to sleep early because you can't just wake up at 6 and be groggy. You have to be awake. Now, the first thing we're supposed to do when we wake up is not reach for our phone and check what messages we missed overnight. And, now phone darshan is the first thing we have. But the first thing we're supposed to do is we're supposed to remember, I am Brahman. I am the self. If you are a bhakta, means if you think of Bhagavan more than you think about the pursuit of truth, the language will be, I know that Siya Rama Maya Saba Jagajani. This entire universe is pervaded by Sita and Rama. There's nothing in this universe that is not Bhagavan. Everything in this universe, including me, is divine. That is the first thought we're supposed to have in any language. It can be in English, it can be in French, it can be in gibberish, it can literally be in any language, but the thought in our mind has to be, everything in this world, leave everything. My nature is divine. I am divine. That's the first thought we're supposed to have in the morning. Mm? Now, having had that thought, and it's not a long, elaborate, but what do you mean? I don't believe that. And just the thought itself has to come in the mind. That's the first thing they say we should do. Then, having had that thought, we're supposed to look at our hands. And there's a prayer. Karagre vasate Lakshmi, Karamadhye Saraswati, Karamule tu Govinda, Prabhate Karadarshanam. We're supposed to look at our hands and chant this prayer. It says at the tips of our fingers resides Lakshmi. In the middle resides Saraswati. At the base resides Govinda. And in the morning, I look at my hands. And the purpose of doing this is to remind us that the power to manifest is with us. The knowledge to manifest anything is with us. And all the resources that we need to do anything in this universe are already with us. We have all the power that we need to do everything it is in the universe that we're meant to do. So we look at our hands and we remember the power of action is right here with us. Having said that prayer, the next thing we're supposed to do is we are supposed to touch the ground. Before we get off the bed, we're supposed to touch the ground and seek forgiveness. Our earth is not considered an inert thing in Sanatana Dharma. It's considered Dharti Mata. It's just a living being, a living Devi. Not just a living Devi, she's the wife of Vishnu Bhagavan. And so before we put our feet on the ground, we chant this prayer, Samudravasane Devi Parvatastana Mandale Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam Padasparsham Kshamasvame. It says, "Oh, wife of Bhagavan Vishnu, please forgive me for letting my feet touch you." It reminds us that this earth is the body of Dharti Mata. You know, if people really had this vision, there would be no environmental problems. People would not loot and plunder and cause destruction and waste, and nothing of that sort would happen, because the bhava in the mind is that this earth is my living mother, and every morning, imagine a child, from the day a child it learns to walk, they're taught, you touch the ground and you remember that this earth is your living mother, and you apologize. If we cross a instrument, like a musical instrument, by mistake, we touch it. When we cross a person by mistake, we touch it. When we cross a book by mistake, we touch it. Because we understand that something that is divine has to be revered, and we're not supposed to touch it with our feet. Now, what more mother of the universe, we're putting our feet on her all day. So before we start the day, we touch the ground before we put our feet down, and we ask forgiveness before we put our feet down. Then we are all this, I mean, I'm talking so much, but it takes like 2 minutes. So far takes 2 minutes. Then we are supposed to spend time purifying ourselves. We usually think about brushing teeth and showering as purification, but we have a body, we have speech, we have a mind, and we have an intellect. You can go a day without washing your hair. Maybe. Some people. 2 days. It depends. Depending on the type of your hair, you might say stretch it to a certain number of days, right? But you can't forget you have hair to wash. Eventually, everybody will know you didn't wash your hair. No matter what you put on top of it, everybody will know. Because when you have something, the nature of this universe is things, if not cleaned, they get dirty. Naturally, things get dirty. You don't do anything, it gets dirty. So our body will get dirty, our speech will get dirty, our mind will get dirty, our intellect will get dirty if they are not purified. So all four need to be purified every single day. Just like it is essential for us to brush our teeth and take a shower every day, it is essential for us to purify our speech, our mind, our intellect, right? Now, what does purification of body look like in this vision of an ideal day of sadhana? Well, when we take a shower, there's another verse that we chant. Gange Chayamune Chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalesmin Sannidhim Kuru. This verse says, it invites all the holy tirats, all the holy Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, like that, all the divine rivers. It we are saying, O Ganga, O Yamuna, O Narmada, etc., all these divine rivers, all these Tiratsthana rivers, you please come and establish yourself in this water which I'm using to take a bath. And when we do that, we're not only physically purifying ourselves, but we're mentally purifying ourselves too. Because now the water that we're bathing with, it's like we're taking a dip in Ganga Maya. And you all know how extensively and gloriously that is described, right? So that is the verse we're supposed to chant when we shower. See, the sentiment is everything that we do, we're supposed to remember the divinity in it. That's the main principle running through all of this, right? Now, it will be around Sandhya Vandana time. You know, the time when of dusk, when the sun is just starting to rise and darkness is starting to go away. In that kind of transition time, we're supposed to do sadhana. Morning and evening. Well, evening will come, but morning and evening, we're supposed to do sadhana. So what we're supposed to do, it is advised that we start by lighting a lamp. And there's a mantra to chant when you light a lamp. Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. We light the lamp, we remember Ganeshi, and like that we start our sadhana. Means our formal sitting down sadhana after showering. Then we're supposed to chant something. The best, most potent sadhana we can do at that time is japa. Everyone will have a mantra that they use and do japa. If you don't, you should consider starting. You don't need someone to initiate you. You just your favorite form of Bhagavan. Everyone will have a favorite form of Bhagavan that they love. You would have loved this form of Bhagavan over lifetimes and you don't even know it, right? That favorite form of Bhagavan, we're supposed to use that mantra and chant, right? So if it's Hanumanji, Hanumanji's mantra will be there. Like that, you can inquire and find out. But japa, or even Om, if you don't really want to do anything else or can't do anything else, Om japa is the most potent sadhana to bring integration of our personality. It's its own whole topic, but it purifies our speech, it purifies our mind, it purifies our intellect, it brings integration with all of them. It's really, really wonderful. So some kind of chanting. And then because we all belong to an intellectual generation now, we also need to be made to think. If we're not made to think, it feels like empty, you know? So some kind of reading or reflecting every morning, whether it is 15 minutes even, you take a spiritual book and you read it and you think about it deeply, each paragraph, and then you move on. Any book of your choice. There's no rule on which one what. According to your temperament, your liking, some kind of spiritual text you can take up and you can read. Okay? We're not supposed to even eat until we finish this. You know, some people, I don't know about you, but I can't even imagine like eating I can't imagine drinking water also before I brush my teeth. Or one time I saw somebody eating a biscuit before brushing their teeth, and I was like, but you didn't brush your teeth. And they're like, yeah, it's just a biscuit. And I was like, what? I mean, that's me, right? I can't imagine, like when I was young also, I couldn't imagine eating anything without brushing my teeth, right? This feeling of I can't imagine eating anything before I have finished this morning sadhana of mine is supposed to develop in our heart as spiritual seekers. Many people don't have it nowadays. Forget all of these things. Children of today, they decide, I'm going to take a shower in the night so I can sleep 10 minutes extra in the morning and go to school without showering. Yeah, I've heard all kinds of things like that, right? So but this feeling should be there in our heart that no matter what, my morning should start like this. This is the ideal, and everyone will see where they fall in that, right? It's supposed to be done with great regularity, meaning not a single, there's no weekend in this business. The mind doesn't know today is Saturday. The mind just knows today is a day, right? So even though it sounds Like, oh, are you joking? For the rest of my life, I have to do this? But when we start and we taste the joy that comes from it, it doesn't feel like a chore anymore. So this is the morning. Now we go through the rest of our day with great faith. We go through, meaning that I know that everything that is happening not just for a reason, but it is happening for my benefit. Because Bhagavan is compassionate. He's not just karma phaladata. He's not just the giver of our fruits of action. He's also karuna nidhan. He's also the abode of compassion. So I have faith that whatever is going on in my mind around me is happening for a reason. And with that thought, I keep my mind balanced to face whatever it is that is coming to me during the day. Then I act with karma yoga, with an understanding of karma yoga, right? Meaning the world has given me so much, and it is my responsibility to contribute back to the world with the skills and the talents that I have been given, whatever it is, right? So, an attitude of whatever it is that I'm doing, I try and do it selflessly, and I try and do it for the benefit of society, for humanity. That is the karma yoga in a nutshell, right? I shouldn't just think about myself, I should think about how this is benefiting the world. And last, as we're doing all of these things, we're going to realize that our mind is terrible. The more pure your mind becomes, the more the negativities of the mind become apparent. You know, if you have a dirty cloth and it has stains, well, it has stains, whatever, you don't see the stains. But as soon as you bring something like a white cloth, like white clothes, I mean, the tiniest drop of haldi on this cloth will, if I come to satsang and there's like a little stain on my clothes, no one will see that the rest of the clothes are clean. They will just see that one stain. Isn't that the way the world works? So, as our mind becomes pure, the impurities of the mind become more stark and more apparent. It doesn't mean we're becoming worse. Sometimes it feels like that. It doesn't mean we're becoming worse. It just means the existing impurities are becoming more apparent to our mind. So at that time, we should remember that Bhagavan has the power to remove all of our impurities. Even though we don't feel like we may be able to, we have faith that sticking to our routine, remembering Bhagavan, having the right attitude, everything will be taken care of. So like this, we go about our day. Now, in the evening, we're supposed to do Sandhya Vandana again. Again, at the time of dusk changing, we're supposed to remind ourselves it's not just go, 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 busy, busy, busy day, but I stop, I pause to remember Bhagavan, to remember I have a divine purpose. It's something as simple as lighting a lamp and chanting one mantra like that. At that time of transition, I do something at least small. And finally, at night, before I sleep, I'm encouraged to do introspection. Introspection is, very simple version of introspection is, I think about my entire day from morning to night. And I literally play it back on fast forward like a movie. And I try to recall as many things from my day as possible without judging. I recall, oh, I woke up grumpy. I didn't get up with my alarm when I wanted to. Then I spoke a lie out of fear and I overate or whatever it is. Good things. I mean, I only told bad things, but good things, bad things, everything. We're supposed to play our day in our mind and just observe what the day was like. And as we do this, it doesn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes. And as we do it, we become better at seeing our day. And when we pause to see our day, we become more aware of the things that we did that we didn't like. Our mind subconsciously thinks about how to stop it. When you discover that there are rotting strawberries at the back of the fridge that you totally forgot about, and then one day you open or like, okay, maybe not rotting strawberries, maybe you have like, the yogurt boxes or some box of something from the store, you put some food in it to keep for the next day, and it magically went to the back of the fridge into Neverland. And then like 1 week or 2 weeks later, you're like, what is this? And you open it and it's just this ball of you don't want to know. At that time, until then, it was just there doing nothing. But the moment that you discover it, the discovery of it is enough to make sure that it doesn't remain there. In the same way, when we play our day in front of our mind, the discovery of negativities is enough to trigger our personality to say, I don't like that. I want to remove that. And as we do it daily, we become better and more quick at figuring out how to respond to that situation in a better way. So the next time that situation comes, I won't respond by habit. I'll respond by this new thought process, right? That is what introspection does for us. And then finally, we're supposed to have gratitude in our heart, and we are supposed to remember Bhagavan before we fall asleep. You know, when Hanumanji goes to Lanka and he sees Rama Ankit on this, he sees this house, this huge, nice, beautiful palace, and it has a symbol of Bhagavan Ram, and it has a tulsi plant, and he thinks to his mind, in Lanka, how is there a sadhu living here in Lanka? That's literally his words. Iha kaha sa jana karavasa, right? How is there a sadhu living here in Lanka? Even Hanumanji had a bias, natural human tendency, right? Lanka, yes, even in Lanka. Anyways, at that time, it is described that Vibhishana wakes up saying Rama. And the only way that a person can wake up saying Rama is if they went to sleep saying Rama. That is how he knows this is a real sadhu, right? Whatever thought we have before we sleep is the first thought we have when we wake up. Actually, what happens is that thought stays in our mind all night. And in the morning, it just comes back again. So if you think about Bhagavan just before you sleep, like it's the last thought before you sleep, imagine you're getting 8 hours of free sadhana where you're thinking about Bhagavan with zero effort on your part. I mean, who wouldn't take that? That's like real bang for your buck. The free thinking about Bhagavan for 8 hours effortlessly. It transforms the personality in ways you cannot even describe. And so we are really, really encouraged to try and make sure the last thought in our day, the last thought before we fall asleep, is the thought of Bhagavan, right? This same principle applies to our lifetimes because they say whatever thought you have at the moment of death, that is what propels your next life, right? Same thing. When we go to sleep, the thought we have when we go to sleep is the first thought that we wake up in the morning. So sleep wisely. That's the principle. I mean, you could imagine 8 hours times a whole lifetime of free sadhana. Who doesn't want that? So, okay, so this is how the day goes, huh? Now, obviously, during the day, there will be other things like being moderate in our food and our sleep and our activity and all of those things, right? But this is the basic outline for like the morning and evening sadhana of the day. It's a very, very popular question. So I thought maybe it would be something nice to reflect on. Huh? But to sustain, if someone is inspired and says, oh, this sounds really cool, I want to at least give it a try. Huh? And then they give it a try and they're like, oh, this is actually really cool. I feel really good. Well, I mean, it might be good for Monday to Friday, and then Saturday will come and you're like, you know what? Just take a break. And at that time, really the only way to sustain that sankalpa, that noble desire, is to develop a conviction that it is as essential for my life as brushing my teeth. You don't say, today's Saturday, I don't need to brush my teeth. You say, it doesn't matter that it's Saturday, I need to brush my teeth, right? That kind of conviction that it is as important as that is the first thing. The second thing is, there's this myth that when you wake up early every day, it gets easier. It's like I'm talking from personal experience, okay? It doesn't get easier. For some people, it doesn't get easier. Every day it could be equally hard for the rest of your life. Physically, I mean, physically, it could be hard for the rest of your life, right? But what will happen is there will be a psychological switch. You know, um, a personal experience when I was younger, sleeping in was my highlight of my life. Yes, I get to spin, right? And then at the Vedanta course, we had to wake up early every single day. It wasn't easy, and I woke up by force for many months. But suddenly one day, a switch happened where it wasn't a waking up by force anymore. It was a I'm excited. I'm happy to wake up in the morning. I want to wake up in the morning. I don't want to sleep in. If I sleep in, it's like, oh my God, I lost something special. So a psychological switch will happen in the mind, even though you may still be physically groggy and not wanting to wake up in the morning. It's a natural thing to be tired, but their psychological inspiration will change the more we do it. Huh? And finally, consistency is key. Consistency is the thing that brings transformation in our life. I was talking about the bricks. You can't put a brick, every like fifth or sixth brick can be heavier and expect it to be perfect. You know, every 4 or 5 days, you have one imperfect day and you expect your life to be perfect. That's unrealistic expectation. Huh? Consistency, no matter how small, is the thing that causes the greatest transformation. We don't see this as much in Canada and US, but here in Trinidad and Guyana, you know where the drain, the guttering meets each other. Sometimes there's a space where the water drips. Well, you watch where water is dripping and you look at the ground, and that water dripping has gone and cut concrete. Have you seen? It makes a hole in the concrete. Would you, if you ask anyone, can water cut concrete? What will the answer be? Of course not. Are you mad? How can water cut concrete? But the consistency of the drop, 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 drop of that water, simple drop of water, has the power to cut the concrete. You take the same volume of water and you pour it on that same exact spot in one go, and it won't do anything. You all know the principle, right? That someone can go to the gym for 4 hours in one day versus for 20 minutes every day. And the person who goes for 20 minutes every day makes way more progress than the one who goes for 4 hours a day. Because it is the small consistency that is actually the key. Huh? So this is a really inspiring topic for me. So I thought that I'd share some of it since it was an open topic. If you did not like it, I'm sorry. I'm happy that I got to be in satsang with all of you. Because it's a home satsang, what I'll do is I'll pause now, and I'll open for any questions if anyone wants to ask anything or say anything. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj